Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel, and today I'm going to talk about the best financial books you should read. So let's get started. Alright, so in this video I'm just going to kind of give a list of the different financial books that I've read. Just recently started getting really into investing and finance, so I'm still trying to catch up on all the other finance books that I have yet to read. But as of the ones that I've read, these are the ones that I found most helpful and that I think you guys will benefit from the most if you guys are interested in financing or investing. So the first book is Little Book of Common Sense Investing. And this book was very helpful for me because it was one of the very first finance books that I had read, and I didn't understand or really even know anything about investing. I just knew that if you invested in a certain market or something, then if you get a certain return, you'll end up making more money over time. And I knew something about compounding, but it was very vague for me. So I had picked this book up and I listened to it. You can find it on YouTube as well, but you can also just download it on like Audible or some other third-party source. Or just read the book. It goes through the whole history of the stock market and the performance of, single individual stocks versus mutual funds, or active managed funds versus passive funds. The returns on these different funds, the probability of getting a good return in an active fund, and then the expense ratios for these funds. So it's a very nitty-gritty part of investing. And if you're really interested in that, then this would be the perfect book for you. But if you're not, it's still a great book to get some insight on this topic and on investing specifically. The next book is Simple Path to Wealth. The author talks about his life and how he eventually realized that there's this thing called F money, where you can leave your job and with the money you have saved up, you are okay for the first couple of months or so. So it's kind of like an emergency fund. But then he realized that if he has enough of this money, he'll be able to live off of it. And I found it very helpful for me personally because it is basically a how-to 101 tutorial on saving and investing throughout your whole life, and what you should invest in and what accounts you need to put your money in, like the taxable accounts. Now this book is for those who are just kind of wanting to save their money and invest it and have some sort of stash when they retire so that they can live off of this money and become wealthy. They're not too worried about what exactly they're invested in, or getting the highest return, or having the lowest expense ratio, so long as they are saving their money and investing it. It's for those people who are just kind of trying to get by and have something there for retirement. The next one would be The Psychology of Money. Now this book is obviously more about the psychological part. It's not really detailed in terms of numbers and data and analytics. It's more of like, okay, why are we as humans acting the way we are in the stock market? Like, why does the stock market fall and keep falling like 30% or more? And why do we panic sell? And then the other way around, why does it just shoot up when everything doesn't seem to be going along with the actual stock market? Like, for example, the pandemic last year when it started, I personally expected the stock market to just plummet, and it did, but it only went down about 20%, and it immediately recovered within a month and a half, I think, or 2 months. So that was a shocker. I didn't expect it to come back so quickly. And that's kind of what this book addresses. Like, why is the market fluctuating in certain ways? Like, what about us as humans are causing this market fluctuations? It also goes into detail about how humans handle money and how they think about it, and how if you grow up thinking and hearing that money is evil, people who are wealthy are greedy, then you'll kind of make it like a self-fulfilling prophecy in terms of never actually having that wealth, because you believe that having wealth or having money is a bad thing. So you'll never actually obtain it in the long run. So it's just more of a psychological thing. I loved it. I thought it was a great book. It was like a 10 out of 10 for me. If you're not an analytics person and you want to learn more about like human behaviors with money and how that works, then this is definitely a great book. I definitely give that a read if you can. And the next one would be The Richest Man in Babylon. Now this is a book that's It's an older book, and I thought it was good because it kind of just stressed the importance of saving your money. It takes place in ancient Babylonian times, of course, and the main character is a tradesperson of some sort. At any rate, he learned that if he just saved at least 10% of his income every month, then he'll eventually get out of debt and have wealth. So that's basically what it's about, answering the question, how does one build wealth? How does one get from nothing in their pocket to having a whole bunch of money? And it all talks about how you should save that money. And then it talks about investing, but it really focuses on saving 10% of your income. And I really like that book. That one was very good. Like I said, it's an older book, so you may have already heard of it or have already listened to it. So the next book is Millionaire Next Door. And this book is very informative and helpful in terms of realizing that not everyone who buys fancy clothes and nice cars are actually wealthy. Just because they have a high income doesn't actually mean that they're wealthy. The author of this book surveys millionaires and those who aren't millionaires, and he calls them UAWs, which are under accumulators of wealth. And then those who are millionaires are considered prodigious accumulators of wealth, so PAWs. And he does this math calculation that determines if you're a UAW or if you're a PAW. UAWs are those who aren't as wealthy as what they should be given their income and their actual age. So their net worth is lower than what should be expected based on this calculation, whereas the millionaires are the opposite. They have a higher net worth than expected from this calculation. So he divvies these people up into these two main groups and gives examples and lists and data and statistics about each group and compares the two. And he asks some questions such as, what is the maximum amount of money you've ever paid on a watch, on shoes, on jeans, on belts, as well as on a car? Do you usually buy used cars or new cars? And the majority of the time, these millionaires buy a used car. He really breaks it down into the details, like what percentage of people said that they had paid $50 or more for shoes, and then what percentage said that they paid $30 or less for shoes on average. And so there's a lot of data about these millionaires from the surveys he's done on them. I found it very helpful in terms of being able to realize that, okay, not everyone who is wearing these nice clothes and is driving this fancy car, this Porsche, means that they're actually wealthy. It just means that they're showing that they have a high income, or that they're going into debt. It doesn't necessarily mean that they even have a high income. We just don't know. So I loved that book because of that. It really opened my eyes in that area and made me realize that the media, when it portrays someone who is buying these expensive items, going to these expensive trips and stuff, doesn't mean it's necessarily true. It's just the media emphasizing those rare cases, like the top 1% of the population that actually do this because they actually do have the money to do it. But in everyday life, the average person is not like that, especially the average millionaire. If you ever get a chance to read it, I definitely suggest that one. The last book I'd suggest is The Intelligent Investor. Now, this book was pretty good in terms of understanding what you should look out for in a certain company. So that way that if these characteristics start showing up, to sell that stock, to get out of that company, or vice versa. You see these characteristics that you see it's undervalued, then you'll want to buy some more of their stocks so that you'll end up getting a higher rate of return in the future. There's been a lot of revisions since the book has been written. It was, I think, 1974, I want to say 70s, but I don't know if it's older than The Richest Man in Babylon. I think that one is the oldest book. So I'm sure you guys have heard of this book, but yeah, if you haven't, you should definitely give it a read, just for at least getting a basic understanding on what exactly a stock is, how to determine if a company is good or not, and also, different methods of investing, such as dollar cost averaging. So that's a list of financial books that I found have helped me the most, and I found the most beneficial, gotten the most information out of. And I'll put the list right here. This is what I've talked about and kind of went into detail about each of these books. But I just wanted to also say that if you're someone who's just interested in investing, you don't care if you're working until you retire around age 65, you're fine with working, it doesn't matter, then I'd say the top 2 books would probably be The Simple Path to Wealth for those who aren't as interested in investing and saving and don't really care too much about it and just want to, save so that they have something in their retirement. But for those who are really interested in investing and in saving, then I would say either The Millionaire Next Door or The Little Book of Common Sense Investing for those who are wanting to invest, and then The Millionaire Next Door for those who are wanting to save their money and are interested in saving. So yeah, I hope you guys like this video, and if you guys found this useful or helpful, please let me know in the comment section down below, and thanks for watching. Bye.